Hey, what's going on, guys? Garden Shed here, and welcome. So, today, basically, I booked my bike in for its first service next weekend, and I haven't actually allowed enough time to get the miles in. So I did 140 miles last weekend. Today's Easter weekend. I went up to Leeds and stuff for a ride up there, and I've only done 445 miles. I figure I need to put about another 100 on it. So that's what I'm off to do today. So yeah, just going out for a quickie chick bimble. It is absolutely filthy. It rained all weekend. Today is Easter Sunday, so Good Friday, Saturday. Well, Friday on the way up to Leeds I managed to get away from the rain. And the video for that will be coming soon, but then Saturday we got soaked. So she got filthy. So quick run out this morning while it's dry, and then we'll disappear off and we'll go and give her a nice wash. So the last video you saw, I revealed Holly. Not in the way that I wanted to. I wanted to do sort of a cinematic-y reveal to her, but I couldn't because of time pending and stuff like that. So I figured I'd speak to you a little bit now about you know, why I decided to go for a Honda CBR and trade in my V-Strom. So for those of you that were watching my content, you realise that I actually have really big problems with my V-Strom and turbulence on my helmet. And a couple of people actually said, well, if you don't want to feel the air, then, you know, drive a car. There is a difference between clean air like this and turbulent air. Clean air like this is absolutely fine. Yes, I feel the wind against me, but it's not buffeting. It's just there, and you know, it's like moving your hand quickly through the air. Whereas turbulence on the V-Strom with the low seat, it was coming off the mirrors and the screen, and I tried folding down the mirrors, I tried changing screens, and I just couldn't solve it. It was like someone having their hand on top of your helmet and shaking it incredibly fast. I found if I was doing long distance, I used to get really bad headaches because of it. So, to me, there's no point in having a bike that you bought to cover big distances that you can't actually ride big distances on. You know, I bought it for all of the right reasons. It was much more practical. It was a fun bike on twisty roads. I'm not going to say it's as much fun as this, because it isn't. But it was a really nice bike to ride. The other sort of problem that I had was the fact that it needed a little bit more poke. And lots of people saying, oh, you know, you don't wind it up and stuff like that. No, but I don't ride like a knob when I've got my camera on, because someone can then just get hold of the footage and then do you for it. So that's why, you know, I'll short shift and stuff like that, just to, because I don't need to use all the power. But when it comes to overtaking things, in a lot of my videos I actually take out the overtaking, because of sometimes to get past a 50-mile-an-hour vehicle that's slowing you down, you need to do a little bit more than perhaps some people would deem as the correct speed. So that's why I don't show me winding it up. Often never see the light of day, because the speedo was so big that it was an absolute bugger to blur it out constantly. This though, I do need to keep below 6,000 RPM while it's still on its initial oil, and I should have put on thermal gloves. I do miss a gear indicator. And when I was in Leeds, I did miss the use of a top box, because it meant I had to carry my tank bag and my helmet and my backpack wherever I went. But do you know what? For that minor inconvenience, then I don't mind. I was thinking of changing. I wasn't sure what changing to, and I did ride a couple of bikes. I rode a CBR650F. I've ridden the CBR650F, which is this one. You know, and I've ridden Tiger 800s and stuff like that. This I found was just the nicest bike for me. It was within my price range. I was very tempted at getting a Z900, as I often say, I do love that bike, but it was a bit more than I was hoping it would be, and again I had the service interval issue, which is what I had with my Kawasaki. So it was going to cost me an absolute fortune on servicing, so what's the point in doing that? This, you know, I'm really happy with it. The one thing that I think does need changing quite soon is I need to get some mirror extenders, because I've got a lot on my elbows, which probably isn't the best thing to be seeing in your mirrors. I can see a little bit, but my elbows take up about half of it. But bombing it up to Leeds, that was what, 120 miles each way, because I was avoiding motorways, 3.5 hours in the saddle. Obviously avoiding motorways because of running it in, but this bike was really comfy. I had no aches or pains. Towards the end, I suppose my bum did get a little bit sore, but the good thing about this is because it's much lower, I think it's only 620, 610, or is it 810? 810, yeah, that sounds about right. I think it's about 810, 815 in seat height. I'll put the stats on the screen. I could touch the ground on it, so I could get, you know, one of those air seats or whatever they're called. The 6th gear basically acts as an override, so they're all quite closely geared. And then the 6th is a huge jump up into 6th gear, which is quite nice. So if you're just cruising or whatever, you don't get too many vibrations. It feels nicer in the corners. I am going to get the suspension set up for me. There's a touch on the hard side, but it's adjustable preload and compression front and rear, or is it rebound? I don't know. Either way, it's adjustable in 2 ways, just so I can get it a bit set up for my weight. It's not bad, just it's quite bumpy. By all means, you know, if I ride it down a dirt track, then I'm going to feel it, but it handles really nicely. And the Dunlops on my Kawasaki, which I had, weren't very good in the wet, and these seem to do an alright job. They seem to grip alright in the wet, as you can see by my riding style today. So I don't really see what the point is in switching them out for something. They did say, you know, the bike has false neutrals and stuff like that, but I've not had this on this. You know, 60 mile an hour along here, wind's fine, it's completely bearable. No turbulence on my helmet. If you are seeing a sort of bit of juddering and stuff, that's probably the suspension. But I'm not getting shaken to bits. So what my mission today is to try and get it the far side of 50 miles. Sorry, 500 miles. It's on 455 at the moment. It's going in next weekend. So I must say I do quite like the idea of going for a bimble just to get the miles up, put miles on a bike. I believe someone once said that having something like a bike and putting no miles on it is a bit like having a girlfriend and not sleeping with her because you're saving her for the next person. Pardon the slight vulgarity of that. There's no point in keeping something low miles just for the next person unless you're purchasing it. The one sort of thing I would say that contradicts that is if you're buying it as an investment, say you bought a classic bike to sell, then fair enough, you want to keep the miles low, but let's face it, modern bikes, they're not really going to appreciate that much unless you hold on to them for a very long time. And I don't know about you, but I couldn't own a bike for 20 years and not use it. I'm going to go get some go-go juice and then start recording the next video. Anyway, I hope you've sort of understood this, and I will be doing a full review when I brought it back from its first service. Thanks for watching, and take care.